Ladies and gentlemen, he's back. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. As you know, I enjoy doing and talking about this. Thank you for subscribing to the channel and watching the videos. But this topic is a little touchy, as with most of the topics that I review. Why do men avoid dating women that make more money than them? Or at least, why do Chinese men avoid dating women that earn more than them? A lot of times, these women are probably going to be out of their age range because age is a big deal all across Asia, not just in China. China just represents the leftover thing. Oops. Sorry about that. I don't really mean to call them leftovers. I really don't like that word. Because one day, as a man, you're going to be leftovers too. When you're you know you leftovers when nobody don't want you. But anyway, let's start the video.
Recently, a guy born in 1995 shared his criteria for choosing a partner, and I was completely stunned.
Uh-oh.
He said, "I don't consider high-income, very beautiful women." But what's the reason? He explained, "The houses and cars those women own have nothing to do with me. I can't use them, nor can I afford to live there." He also added, "Women with such superior conditions will likely have even higher expectations for a partner. To marry them, I'd not only have to prepare a house and a dowry, but also hand over all my income for them to manage the household finances."
What? Hell nah. First of all, I'm working in the Amazon warehouse. I don't have nothing to hand over anyway. I'm broke after I buy gas and pay my Vodafone phone bill. So I'm handing over my paycheck. That's like handing the car keys over to my M4. I'm not doing that. You ain't driving my BMW or my Porsche. It's too fast for you. You can't drive my shit. Nah, I'm joking. I'm talking shit. But yeah, that's what it comes down to. So basically, you giving up your manhood to be with somebody that earns more than you. But see, here's the thing. The common mindset of the average woman looks for somebody that's on their level or above financially. So whoever's the breadwinner of the household, they're pretty much going to be running the show. So if y'all are looking for another mother, go after somebody that makes more money than you.
Just thinking about it gives me a headache. He prefers a young, beautiful woman with a good personality who doesn't care much about income or family background. What do you think about this guy's perspective on choosing a partner? I'm Juan, follow me and I'll help you find your soulmate.
I am a 35-year-old woman, and unfortunately, I can say that men in general don't want to be involved with women over 30.
Bullshit, I do. She look good. Fly on out to SFO, baby. I'll pick you up in the Infinity. Infinity's a good car. It was always my favorite car. Anyway.
Especially if these women are successful and financially independent like me. I met a 35-year-old man, single and of good quality, who explained the reason behind this aversion to older women. He told me that through various interactions and research, he realized that many women over 30 have 5 main characteristics that make it difficult for men to get involved. First, many of them tend to have more extreme thinking, and when faced with problems in a relationship, instead of trying to solve them positively, they see them as signs of low-quality marriage. Secondly, many of these women lack self-awareness. They claim to prefer being alone rather than getting involved with just anyone, but their expectations are often higher than those of a 20-year-old woman. The third point is that they are very demanding. They want men to support them financially, emotionally, and even psychologically.
Oh, first of all, that's most women of any age. They expect a man to take care of them financially. Not unless you're like this woman who's pretty much financially independent. So usually older women, even though when they were younger, let's say 10 or 15 years younger than what they are now, let's take a 40-year-old woman for example, she's probably no longer looking for a provider. That was something she was looking for when she was younger. But now that she's older and of age and approaching middle age, she just wants more of a companion, a travel partner, to do whatever and whenever. Because see, older women usually, financially controlled women that have their financials things together, they usually don't care about money as much versus having somebody to actually spend the money with. You see what I'm saying? Anyway.
And honestly, men are looking for a wife to share life with, not someone they need to spend all their time and energy taking care of. Additionally, most of these women have a lot of relationship experience, but often compare their current partners with exes. This kind of comparison is damaging to any relationship. Lastly, reproductive value decreases over time, and the risk of having children increases, which is something many men consider.
That's the whole point of getting the youngest woman that you can as a man. That's why these guys are looking for women that are under 30, because they want them to start having kids as soon as possible to continue the lineage. I don't think a lot of people want to start having kids when they're 40 plus. Think about that. You're having your first kid at 40. So when the kid is 20, you're already a senior. It's just something to think about. A good example. When I was coming up, I couldn't figure out why everybody's parents was 10 plus years older than my parents. And I was like, oh, okay, my parents started young. I see why everybody else's parents was 10, 15 years older. And people were always telling me, wow, that's your mom? She looks so young. She looked like she could be your sister. Same thing with my dad. Oh, wow, you have young parents. And my parents are still currently working because they're too young to retire. I'm 36. I'm nowhere near retiring. I'm this girl's age. That's why I want her.
To be honest, even though I am wealthy and successful, many men pull away, perhaps because they feel intimidated or uncomfortable with the idea of being with a woman who has more than they do.
Bring it on.
The truth is, as a woman, I realize that despite my independence, it's still hard to find a partner willing to keep up with me on the same level.
Oh boy.
Why don't men in Hong Kong want to date high-salary women from outside? Do you know about this? A man in Hong Kong with an annual salary of 400,000, for example, doesn't want to date a woman from outside who earns 800,000. Here's what happened last week. We had a woman from outside with a master's degree from Fujian who studied in the UK with clear and smooth skin, working in Hong Kong with an annual salary of around 800,000. I helped match her with a local Hong Kong man who earns about 400,000 a year, and as soon as he learned about her conditions, he immediately rejected her. I asked him, this woman has great qualifications. You two would be a strong match. Why not meet her? He replied, after we're together, who's going to pay for meals and transportation? I said that most of the time men pay. Then he asked, if we get married, who's going to pay for the house, the renovations, and other expenses? I answered that normally the man pays, but if the money isn't enough, the woman might contribute a little. And he said, if all the money is coming from me and she has a higher salary and better education.
Keyword, she might pitch in, which a lot of times, at least in the West, they're not going to help you. So if you come to this point as a man, you're pretty much screwed. She ain't helping you. She's going to help herself to the next dude. That's what's going to happen.
What's my role in this? She won't give me any money, and if I marry a woman from outside, I'd still have to pay a large dowry. Doesn't seem worth it. After marriage, he thought he wouldn't be able to save anything, as all the money would go towards household expenses. He also mentioned that women with high salaries tend to have very intense work routines, with overtime and sleepless nights, causing hormonal imbalances and other health issues.
I'm assuming that women that make this much money, a lot of them are working in the corporate sector, which means you're going to be dealing with politicians. Even if you're not an actual politician and you don't have to deal with them face to face, when you go into those careers, executive positions, skyscraper offices, to me, those are political environments. So there's going to be a lot of things that go on, especially under people's desks to get to the next level. So that's another thing you're going to be dealing with too. Exposure, scams, scandals. So it's not just about who makes more money. Because I'm like this. I don't care how much she makes. Once you pass on, your money's done unless you have kids to pass it on down to. But basically what I'm saying is you're not going to have any money when you're dead. You can't take the money with you. You was born broke and you're going to die broke. Just look at it that way. So just, you solve that problem right there. Okay, she makes more money than me. So what? That means we'll have a better lifestyle. We'll have better vacations. Sometimes I'll pay for it. Sometimes she'll pay for it. You got to look at it like that. See, people aren't abundant enough. We're so quick to compare people. Everything's a comparison and a competition now between spouses and meeting your lifetime mates. We're so competitive about this person doing this, or they have this and they have that. At the end of the day, at the end of your lifeline, none of that shit's even going to matter. When you die, nobody's not going to remember what your job title was or how much money you really had, especially if you're somebody that's frugal and you hide your money and you don't go around flossing and bragging, buying ugly ass Louis Vuitton bags and stuff.
He believes it's easy for them to bring their aggressive work attitude home, which would make the home environment suffocating.
Oh.
So he concluded, why not look for a simpler woman from Hong Kong? What do you think of this man's explanation?
I don't know.
Why do successful women in their careers struggle with emotional issues? Essentially, it works like this. If you're successful in your career, it means you're engaged in the pursuit of success. To achieve that success, you need to arm yourself and behave in a way that reflects that success. You need to enjoy the feeling of power. What is this feeling of power? It's strength, authority, strategy, interests, value, all of this. Once you get used to this feeling, you become dependent on it and begin projecting it onto everyone around you. Think about it. If your father is a leader, he will also want to be the leader at home. It's the same logic. Especially when he comes home and still wants to be the head of the household.
And that's a lot to take on. So not only are you the leader at your work environment, but you got to come home and be the leader of the household too and take care of whatever problems. Your son was mouthing off to your wife and you don't like it, you might have to slap him back of the head a few times, or you might have to take off Mr. Licorice and kapop. Yeah, it's a lot to deal with. Somebody might piss you off in the office and you have to tell him to come. You need to talk to him on the side. Yeah, it's a lot to deal with, so be prepared.
You start applying this boss pattern to everyone around you. If you've never gone through major life challenges like I have, you won't be able to reflect on it deeply. If you don't reflect deeply, you'll remain dependent on this logic. When I was younger, I thought that because of my career success, I had all the answers. I believed my worldview was correct, that my way of relating to people was right, and that my approach to handling resources, environments, and relationships was right. And when it came to intimate relationships, I thought, is the way I handle these relationships also correct? That's where the problem lies. When you have one strong point, it can overshadow your weaknesses. Deep down, women can have this behavior. If they are successful in their careers, when they need to assume a feminine role in an intimate relationship, they need to be vulnerable and acknowledge the other person. Men, on the other hand, need admiration. In relationships between the sexes, there has to be a sense of mutual service. If you're stuck in the dependency of career success, how can you do this? It's not possible. But a woman who has gone through challenges will be like an amoeba. She will be able to adapt to her environment and the people around her. This requires complex mental training. You need to break yourself down and then rebuild yourself. You could have a life like mine, full of ups and downs. Only then will you be able to have a deep reflection. Otherwise, you'll need someone with more experience to guide you, to help you reconstruct this mental model, to activate the cell in your brain that hasn't developed yet. Why? Because, most of the time, your living environment allows you to continue relying on the same patterns and dependencies. But in certain situations and with certain people, you'll need a different way of thinking. This other way of thinking won't come naturally to a career successful woman. You'll need someone more experienced to guide you so you can become more complete. It's about adapting, speaking appropriately to people and, when necessary, speaking differently.
So basically, you could come off as a very arrogant person outside of the office. Like you become toxic to like your family because you're constantly in the boss mode. So you have to pretty much mentally prepare yourself before you even go into the office and start calling shots at that big table. So when you come home, you're pretty much going to run your household like that properly, is what he's saying. So yeah, that sounds irritating. That's annoying. I wouldn't want to be around nobody like that. I meant to say this about the money thing. Make the money, don't make the money make you. It's the same thing as the job title. Don't make the job your life. That's where people mess up at. They let it, whatever they're doing, consume them. They're so good at it that they let the soul of whatever they're doing consume them. And then next thing you know, they're just this weirdo. And you're like, what's wrong with them?
This is not a pejorative term. The real difference between people lies in the level of perception and thinking.
A
31-year-old high-income woman and a 22-year-old blonde girl.
Oh,
Who would you
God.
choose to marry? Here's the story. A 31-year-old female fan messaged me saying that with the Chinese New Year approaching, her family was pressuring her to get married, and they had arranged a date with a 32-year-old unmarried man. The woman, 31 years old, graduated in 2011 and currently works for a foreign company. She has a decent income, bought her own house and car, and is fairly attractive. The man has an ordinary bachelor's degree. His income is not as high as hers, but it's stable. He also has a house and a car. That day, they were preparing to go on their date, but her cousin, who was in college, came to visit her. They thought about going shopping afterward. However, the man wasn't interested in her,
Uh-oh.
but rather in the cousin, who thought he was too old and his financial situation wasn't great. So, this fan asked me, do all men only like younger women? The
Duh.
answer is yes. Men tend to like younger women, but that doesn't mean they only marry younger women. From my experience, most men around 30 years old, who are seriously looking for a marriage partner, wouldn't choose a woman younger than 25. Instead, they would prefer women between 26 and 30. This is
Me too. I married a 30-year-old before the 25-year-old simply because at 30 you should have more life experience than the 25-year-old, and you probably play less games at that too. So the younger the female is, the more bullshit that you're gonna put up with. That's something you gotta remember. Yeah. On the downside of that, marrying an older woman means that she pretty much did way more than you, if you know what I mean. Especially if she's attractive. So if you marry an older attractive woman, 8 times out of 10, she probably did some kind of sex work or something. She has a past. Let's just put it that way. It doesn't make a difference if she was getting paid for it or not. I mean, threesomes in college, trains ran on her, everything. It doesn't make a difference if she was getting paid for it or not. A high body count is a high body count. It doesn't make a difference if she was a actual dancer or some kind of prostitute or not. You just know she lived a life. And that will all be behind her as an older woman. You just find out about it later. Versus if you take the 25-year-old, she's probably still doing it when you first met her. But she was looking for a way out and she wanted to stop because she thought you were good enough to finance a household and a lifestyle.
because marriage involves choosing someone to raise children with, take care of elderly parents, pay for a house, and face the challenges of life together. It's definitely not an easy choice, and youth alone does not guarantee a perfect partner.
No, it don't.
Based on my professional experience in first and second tier cities, there are 2 painful truths. First, women are indeed more eager to get married. And second, for ordinary people like you and me, with average looks, jobs, and financial conditions, a woman's golden age for marriage is between 24 and 28, and for men, it's between 26 and 32. After this golden period, both men and women find it more difficult to find their ideal partner. If you don't have a good job or financial stability during this golden age, the remaining options will often be the best you can find. From the moment you enter this golden period, the older you get, the harder it is to find a satisfactory partner.
I agree with her. She's right. I'm 36 and I don't find none of these women marriage material, at least here in the West. Now, having fun on the weekend with them is a different story, but a long time, lifetime partner that you can actually live with and build something with, the way these women are today with OnlyFans and going on, ouch. Good luck with that, gentlemen.
Many motivational quotes tell women that the higher their standards, the more likely they are to find true love. But, rather than finding someone just to pass the time, it's better to stay single but with quality. The advice for men is that at 40, they are like flowers and, with money, can get any woman. But the reality is that if women are too passive, they won't find love. Especially as age increases, men's impulsiveness declines year after year. Waiting for a good man to come after you, as if you were waiting for the Tsinghua University acceptance letter without studying, won't work. The final result will be that you can't even find someone to get by with. You may be single, but you're not with a high-quality man. Don't think that at 40, you're still a flower that everyone wants. Many women can't accept a significant age gap. And the money you think he has doesn't make up for the disadvantage of being older.
Ooh, she giving it to y'all too. And see, it's like this. Between the both of you, if it's more than a 3-year age gap, I wouldn't recommend it. That's just me.
Knowing that he has an affordable apartment or a regular car at 30 isn't considered exceptional. On the contrary, these possessions are just the result of age and time. Successful men in their 30s usually have properties in prime locations or multiple properties and good cars. So, wake up to reality and start looking for a partner now, because otherwise, the best ones will be chosen by others.
That's right.
女生的收入高呀。
Women with high incomes don't share the household
Oh.
because their income lacks an altruistic nature.
Oh.
For example, a woman who earns 500,000 a year, would she spend 100,000 on a man? No. And as her income increases, her expectations of men also rise, and she develops a sense of admiration for them. Her level of identification and tolerance toward men decreases at this point. Additionally, as the woman progresses in her career and increases her income, she spends more time and energy on her work. Men are fully aware that being with a high-income woman doesn't provide economic benefits.
You gotta look at it like being with a doctor. Let's say you're trying to date a doctor. This pretty much fits in what he's talking about. And here in the West, that's another reason why divorce is on the rise. So if you're married to somebody and they're going up the ranks in their career and you haven't moved much in yours, expect her to file a divorce. Yeah. It happens more often than you think. The more she moves up on the corporate ladder, the more likely she is to divorce you.
And that her expectations will keep increasing. Therefore, many men prefer to find a woman with a lower income but a stable job who provides emotional value. A woman with a good personality, more family-oriented, and this way they form a complementary relationship, rather than seeking high-income women who lack altruism.
After the blind date, a girl liked me a lot, and I liked her too, but there was a problem. Her income is higher than mine.
So?
I felt we weren't compatible. I felt I wasn't good enough for her, or rather, as a man, I felt...
That's a personal problem. You should be embarrassed. It's nobody's business.
embarrassed to be in this situation. I want to tell you something. This girl has good conditions, a good job, and earns well. This is an advantage for her, and the biggest advantage is that she also likes you.
What's the
That's
problem?
wonderful. So why do you care so much about your image?
Listen, check this out, homeboy. She probably ain't shit without that job. Suppose one day she gets laid off in an email. Did she let her job consume her? Like, what is she like without the job? Nobody's not talking about that. What kind of person is this person outside of the executive job title? Nobody's not explaining that. Is she pleasant to be around? Does she have a lot of friends? Does she get along with her parents? That's stuff you gotta look at, not her damn job title. People tripping.
Many people think that if they find someone poorer than them, they can control the other person.
Yeah.
That they will have a sense of superiority. But the reality is different, my friends. The poorer someone is, the harder it is to control them. The poorer, the more problematic. The poorer, the more that person values their pride and self-esteem. You say something, and they can get upset easily. The poorer, the harder it is to deal with them, the harder it is to maintain a good relationship. In fact, meeting someone with better conditions can be a blessing for you. Women with good conditions and high incomes generally have higher education.
Let's say she's had that high income for 10 or 15 years. After a while, her main focus might focus on actually sharing whatever she has to offer with somebody she wants to be serious with. See, people aren't thinking like that. Okay, she's had this high income for the last 15, 20 years. Maybe she wants to actually share her success with somebody. It's lonely at the top, or is it?
A person who earns well and has good conditions is certainly someone who understands the rules, who knows how to communicate, and has emotional intelligence. Now, if you choose someone without conditions, who has nothing, don't expect the relationship to be good.
Oh.
Even the sexual life won't be harmonious, and she won't support you. You know that? It will be hard even to have a child. So, if you're handsome and tall, and a really good woman likes you, my suggestion is to accept it proactively, dive into the relationship, without worrying about other people's opinions. Don't be stubborn. I've been saying a lot about this. Stubborn people can't find a partner. Be flexible. Got it?
Got it? Good.
Modern marriage doesn't have to follow the idea that the man must be stronger than the woman. It's totally acceptable for the woman to be stronger than the man. The most important thing is happiness. The rest doesn't matter.
That's the problem. Most people ain't happy. If you're not happy, you better get happy. If you stay ready, you ain't gotta get ready.
I really don't understand this fascination men have with women who are in a worse condition than they are, while avoiding those who have more money.
I don't think it matters. Because a lot of them are in debt anyway. As a man, you could probably help her save money and manage money better. You guys are a team. Work.
Generally, I don't recommend getting involved with or marrying a woman whose material situation is very different from yours. This is, in fact, a form of necessary poverty, which is very difficult to deal with. For the less fortunate, it's a painful situation. They will think you look down on them. They will feel proud, wasteful, and often won't know how to handle the wealth they shouldn't have. The truth is, both poverty and wealth are matters of character. For a wealthy man, the initial intention may be to help a poor person, but over time he realizes this isn't possible because the mindset is completely different. The poor person will insult you saying you only have a little money, and if you don't give it to them, they will accuse you of not loving them.
Oh, God.
And the wealthy man also cannot manage his money with the mindset of a poor person. The poor woman might end up controlling his money, and if he loses control of his wealth, he too could end up poor. This type of relationship often leads to constant arguments, divorce, and division of assets.
Okay, I'll take her too. Put her on a first-class flight, or even business.
It's very rare to find a poor woman and a wealthy man whose mindsets align effectively. Personally, I am not in favor of a wealthy man marrying a poor woman. This goes against the natural order, against the law of the universe, and it can't be disrespected. Unless you're willing to challenge this divine order and can bear the consequences, then go ahead. At the same time, a woman in a better condition than average usually isn't interested in men in inferior situations. There are even theories about men avoiding relationships with them simply because they possess a very strong masculine energy, which serves as an excuse not to get involved.
Yeah, it's called feminism. They look very happy in the end. So we'll wrap it up right here. Thanks for tuning in. This is Kai Vale, and I hope to catch you guys on the next one. Happy Monday, Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year. I'm probably sure I'll be back with another video before then, but I gotta go back to work. Peace.